Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, y'all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, I thought, of course, that I would review this little video that I thought would be very particularly interesting. And there might be a few videos that I end up releasing. I think that I have another video with a conversation about Errol Spence Jr. as a recent, or not Errol Spence Jr., excuse me, about Terrence Bud Crawford and Javante Tank Davis, because there's been a little bit of a back and forth going on there. I think I have another one possibly with a Terrence Bud Crawford interview when he was on the Breakfast Club. So there might be a couple videos that I actually have to release. But this video I thought was very particularly interesting. And for those of you that know my channel, you know that I talk a whole lot about boxing. But the boxing that I don't usually tend to talk about quite as much is that of women's boxing. And it isn't that some of those girls are not, very decently skilled, like this girl right here, Alycia Baumgardner. But the reason why I don't mainly talk about it is because I don't think that the competition level is really anywhere near that of the men's. And I don't think that it's a good idea to put them on the top 10 pound for pound list, especially with that of men's. Now, if you want to come out with your own top 10 pound for pound list of women's boxing, then that's up to you. In my view, that's not a bad thing because you're just making them more competitive against the other women. What's not a good idea, in my view, is to put them in with the men because then that gives them the idea that they need to compete with that of the men's circuit. And that gives, some of these delusional broads like that of Clarissa Shields that a good idea would be to try and call out Keith One Time Thurman. And who knows, she might eventually get what she's asking for. And trust me, if Keith Thurman or one of these dudes, they go all out on her, either in a sparring session or one of these times, she's not going to like it. But it is what it is. But anyways, now to get to the main conversation, Alycia Baumgardner, who of course is one of the top female boxers within the world, most recently, I believe the biggest win of her career, which was last year, was that against the undefeated former champion Michaela Meyer, or Michaela Mayer, whatever her name may be, and probably the biggest fight of her career. Was of most recent, beating the girl, I believe, in the rematch that she ended up suffering her only loss to. Apparently, Alycia Baumgardner was caught on that of two banned substances and illegal steroids, which I think is very particularly interesting because a lot of these LDBC and new media channels, including this channel we're about to watch right here, Mr. CHAMPSIDE, they always love to come up with the standards that Canelo Alvarez or Fury, that they cannot be on a pound for pound list because they were caught on steroids, or that they cannot be the number one pound for pound fighter, etc., etc. Or they like to, rake their name over the coals, in order to make them look worse. And don't get me wrong, if you're a steroid cheat at the end of the day, or if you're a steroid user, if you've been caught on PEDs or had suspicions of PED usage, you are going to have to rightfully deal with that. It just is what it is. Because at the end of the day, you are using performance enhancers, and that can be an advantage. But you're going to see in this video for Alycia Baumgardner that Mr. Champside, that he has a little bit of a different energy with that of Alycia Baumgardner. Once again, these are the same channels that love to rake Mr. Inoue over the coals for allegedly cheating with his gloves right before the Inoue fight, or Tyson Fury cheated with his gloves. But Terrence Bud Crawford, two gloves bust open, I believe, in the David Avanesian fight. And the only one who really mentioned it, or at least had some slight suspicions about it, was that of Mr. Boxing Ego. But Tyson Fury, he cheated for sure. There's barely any rumors spread by them about Terrence Bud Crawford when both of his gloves split wide open, I believe, in the David Avanesian fight, which usually does not end up happening. And I'm not going to allege anything, but that, in my view, would be more suspicious than anything that they ever came out about with Tyson Fury, which is pretty much all proved to be false anyway. But once again, very interesting depending on the standards of which fighter they end up liking and which ones they don't. And I wonder if they're going to keep the same standards, because that if this was Katie Taylor, or that if this was Amanda Serrano or one of the women fighters that they don't like, they would be commentating on this. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they end up commentating on this. But anyways, Champside, let's see what he has to say about Alycia Baumgardner. We all know that he is a fan of Alycia Baumgardner and basically many other Black American fighters, which is fine, But in my view, like I've already stated in the past, in my view, it is not good to be a fan. It's not good to be a fanboy, and the reason why that is because you're going to see what Champside is like right here. And that's why so many of these channels, they're just not reliable, because so many of these guys are fans, not just of the sport, but they're fans of particular fighters. And at the end of the day, it's okay to maybe root for certain fighters or prefer to watch other fighters than that of other fighters. Me personally, I prefer to watch Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Bud Crawford, Alexander Usyk, Naoya Inoue, and a few other fighters in the sport of boxing more than I like to watch a multitude of other guys. Tyson Fury, because those are pretty much the best boxers in the world, and I believe that they're the most particularly skilled. But what I'm not going to do, because I'm not a fan of any of those guys, or I'm not a fanboy of any of those guys, is that you're not supposed to take anything that is said about them in a personal manner. If you're supposed to be a commentator, you're supposed to be a logical and objective commentator. And how you can tell someone is a fan is that they take certain statements that are said about them very personally, almost if it was said about their family member or themselves. There's certain double standards. They will have to try and make up lies or cover the truth in order to make them look better, because they're trying to save face, basically to make their favorite fighters look as good as what they can. And that is not what a logical and objective commentator does. Once again, these guys are fanboys. They're a part of a pro-black cult, and they are fanboys. So that's why a lot of the times they cannot be relied on, period. And they're not the only ones, but it is what it is. They put so much emotional ties, not just overall because they're fans of these fighters, but because they have a little bit of insecurities about themselves as well. So in many of their minds, they think that Deontay Wilder beating Tyson Fury, or they think that, in a way, being beat by Stephen Fulton, that is going to make them as a group of people look better. That is going to make them look more dominant, and that, it's going to help out their insecurity within their mind of feeling inferior. That's why a lot of the times, and it's not just them either, that's why so many boxing fans or fans in general, they get so depressed after their favorite athlete or their favorite fighter ends up losing. That's why these guys still cannot accept the fact that Deontay Wilder just ended up losing to that of Tyson Fury, because he was not the fighter that Tyson Fury was. They have to say that Deontay Wilder, that he ended up getting cheated because of what he stood for, and because they were such a fan of Deontay Wilder that basically he was like a god to them. He was like a god to them. They worshipped him. So when it came down to it, the reason why they still won't admit it is because they're still in a deep depression over that loss. But it is what it is. Anyways, let's get straight into it. Let's see what Mr. Champside has to say.
Some very shocking news, as Alycia Baumgardner has tested positive for a banned substance from her July 15th fight against Christina Leonard-Tao. According to a report obtained by Boxing Scene, a urine sample collected on July 12th by testers contracted through Drug Free Sport showed an adverse analytical finding on the banned substance. According to the test report, the lab received the sample to the test on July 21st. The result was reported on August 10th, which showed mesterolone metabolite, something I can't even pronounce, in the collected sample, which was classified as in competition. As is the case with all drug tests, the participant has the right to test the B sample or can challenge chain of custody. It remains unclear whether those steps will be taken in this instance. Messages left for the respective teams for both boxers, Matchroom Boxing for Baumgardner, Bella Entertainment for Leonard-Tao by Boxing Scene, went unreturned as goes to publication. So you know that Alycia Baumgardner recently became undisputed. She also avenged her loss to Christina Leonard-Tao. She's 15-1 with 7 knockouts. She's a sensational fighter. She's fighting out of the Midwest. She's adopted Detroit, Michigan as her home. Now here's what her promoter Matchroom Boxing says. Matchroom can today confirm that Alycia Baumgardner returned an adverse analytical finding as a part of a random anti-doping protocol instituted voluntarily for her bout with Christina Leonard-Tao in Detroit on the 15th of July. Matchroom was first informed of this result on the 12th of August. The applicable regulatory authorities are also aware, and we defer to such bodies for further action and guidance as a full investigation is conducted. Matchroom is committed to promoting a clean and fair sport for all athletes and will assist Alycia and her team during this time, affording her the appropriate due process as we wait to receive more information. Matchroom will not be making any further comment. So, what does that mean for Alycia Baumgardner? Will she be stripped? Will she be punished? Right now, we don't know. I believe she is going to appeal this. We will go through some type of appeal process. I give her the shadow of the doubt, the benefit, or should I say the benefit of the doubt.
Of course you do. Uh, because let's be real, you and Alycia Baumgardner, I believe that you have connections. Alycia is one of the guys that if you did have an interview with somebody, Alycia Baumgardner is one of the boxers that you possibly might be able to get an interview with. And he even states that he messages Alycia Baumgardner, I believe. And on top of that, let's be real. She's a black American fighter. And these guys, once again, their objective, they're a pro black cult, is to make sure that the majority of black American fighters, that they look overall as best as possible because their main objective is to try and make you believe that boxing, and don't get me wrong, black American fighters, they've been dominating the sport mainly ever since that of the 1950s and 1960s. It is mainly usually dominated by that of black American fighters. But every time they see fighters like Canelo Alvarez or Lomachenko or Fury or Inoue, it's their job to make sure that they don't make it up as high as what many people try to say that they are. That's why every single time Lomachenko or Canelo Alvarez, or Tyson Fury is ranked high on the pound for pound list, they have to try to tear them down as much as possible. Oh, he's avoiding this guy. Oh, he hasn't fought the same amount of guys, or he only has this level of fights. Even if there's a certain black fighter out there that has, kind of the same standards. Like they'll put Jamel Charlo, within their top 5 pound for pound. They'll put him over Usyk, even though Usyk is undefeated, more dominant. But remember, Dante and Aki TV, they put Terrence Bud Crawford at the number 1 pound for pound spot because of his dominance, even though he did not have that great of a resume. But Usyk, who's been more dominant, and let's be real, probably has a better resume than Jamel Charlo as well. When it comes down to it, he's not above Jamel Charlo. So once again, they don't care about any consistency. It's very clear about what their objective is.
I think she's innocent. I don't think she did what they said she did. I think she's an amazing fighter. She's definitely.
Well, I do, but once again, it's very clear for a multitude of reasons why you're giving Alycia Baumgardner the benefit of the doubt. So unless I see a B sample, and unless she is proven innocent, I can't say anything else. Do I believe more than likely that she took something? Yes, because she didn't just test positive, I believe, for 1 banned substance. She tested positive for 2.
One of the most beautiful athletes in the world. And, when you're on top, a lot of people want to throw shots at the throne and try to take you down. And, she got a lot going for her right now.
Right, but where were these same standards when it came to Inoue, allegedly cheating with his hand wraps? Where were these same channels when it came to those same standards? When it came to Tyson Fury, allegedly cheating against Deontay Wilder, where did that come from? When it came to Canelo Alvarez when he was caught on PEDs, what all of a sudden changes his mind to give Alycia Baumgardner the benefit of the doubt? And don't get me wrong, once again, they're not the only people that do this. But once again, if you're going to be a commentator, don't sit here and tell me that these guys, that they're logical in their objective, because they are not.
She did tweet on her Twitter, and she tweeted that this is what she tweeted recently. First of all, she put the PO.
And in my view, PEDs, in my view, and certain people may tend to disagree with me, I've never really detracted from a fighter too much for PEDs because, to be quite honest with you, most of these athletes and most of these fighters are more than likely on something anyway. Just my personal view. So PEDs really are not that big of a deal with me. But once again, if you're going to keep the standards in a certain way, you have to keep them the same way everywhere else. And, the LDBC and new media, they're not going to do that because, once again, their dream or their objective is to make sure that basically the top 10 pound for pound fighters, they want to make it basically look like it's just completely owned by that of black American fighters. And once again, don't get me wrong, they're usually the most dominant demographic in terms of boxing. But once again, there's a reason why every single time Canelo Alvarez or Inoue or one of those fighters, why they're ranked or getting higher on the pound for pound list, that they have to try to tear him down. And I told people eventually, now that Inoue was getting ranked within the top pound for pound spots, that eventually they would do it to him. But Inoue surprised them. Inoue beat that of Steve Von Fulton. So now they basically have to rank him within that of the top 5 pound for pound. But are they going to rank him as the number 1 guy, even if it looks like he clearly would have deserved it? No, they're not going to do that.
You hold it down mean. As y'all all know what that is. Then she said, another day, another battle, hashtag we good. Then she said, keep showing y'all faces. So, I did talk to Alycia Baumgardner today. I won't really go into what the discussion was about or what was said, but I believe, she will go through the due process to clear her name, and I think her name will be cleared. And I think most of the people who support her couldn't care less. You know what I'm saying? People make mistakes. We really don't know until we go through these processes. I've seen guys, you know what I mean. A lot of people in boxing test positive, and y'all did not care. You still honor these guys. You still put them on the pound for pound list. You still say that they're the faces of boxing. You still worship the ground they walk on. So again, most people don't even care about women's boxing. Now all of a sudden, Alycia Baumgardner is going to have a million trolls and a million dudes talking and saying all of these things in her comments, but most of them don't support her. They ain't buy her fight.
Listen, I understand what you're trying to say, Mr. CHAMPSIDE, but let's stop trying to play the victim here. At the end of the day, a big part of the reason why people also are on Alycia Baumgardner's ass are because of people like you. Once again, you're going to get the energy that you put out. And a lot of these LDBC and new media channels, all they're doing is creating a lot more negative attention for some of these fighters that don't end up looking good when something ends up happening, like Deontay Wilder or Alycia Baumgardner. When you're making that many excuses for them. And once again, steroids to me, like I said, it's just a part of the game, no matter what sport you're in. I think that the majority of these athletes are more than likely on something anyway. And I've already stated this, for a pound for pound list, or greatness, PEDs is not really enough of an excuse, in my view, to not really put them there. Unless it clearly was the main contributor, or you got caught on it several times like that of John Jones.
They didn't go to her fight. Of course, her fight wasn't on pay-per-view, but it was on DAZN. So I support the Baumgardner, and I have been supporting her probably longer than all of y'all. Like, I see a lot of new people, a lot of people that, interviewing her recently, hanging around her. I don't know where y'all was at when I was calling her the baddest woman in boxing in like 2016. Most of y'all wasn't following her. You couldn't produce any content you made on her. So, of course, she's rising right now. She's being tested. And, keep your head up. That's what they do. When you're rising up, you're going to...
Yeah, keep your head up. Where were these same standards once again with, in a way, Canelo Alvarez and, Tyson Fury? Keep your head up, champ. Keep your head up, Tyson Fury, even though they're trying to say all these bad things about you. Get the fuck out of here, man. Once again, it's no offense, but you have to keep the same standards everywhere else. And that's how you know these guys, they're fanboys.
Tested, and it's going to get ugly. And I know, based on the things she talks about, the way she carry herself, that she's going to be just fine. You know what I'm saying? She's going to keep her head up and keep it pushing. And as I said on my live earlier today, I've been in situations where people accuse my brother or my sister of doing something. And, whether it's true or not, as someone told me before, I said, listen, I don't care if it's true or not. They ain't do it. You know what I'm saying? And unless you want to deal with me, get out of my face. So,
right, but you just said, I don't care if it's true or not, they didn't do it. What is that really you saying about Miss Alycia Baumgardner? She's not your relative. She's not your family. Once again, this is how delusional the fanboy and the LDBC and new media channel is. This is how delusional fanboys are really in general. It doesn't matter where they come from. This is why it's very important, especially if you're a reporter or if you're looked at as a logical or objective commentator, that, you're not a delusional fanboy, because you turn into this. Basically what CHAMPSIDE just said overall is that even if she did do it, I really don't give a shit. She didn't do it on my watch.
That's how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? Me personally...
Well, that's the problem. That's how you feel about it. You're not thinking.
I don't care if it's true or not. Now, I don't want it.
You hear that? I don't care if it's true or not. I don't care if it's true or not. Remember, this is the same guy that has Canelo Alvarez and, Tyson Fury off his top 10 pound per pound list because of steroids, right? Because of steroids. So let's see if he does not put Alycia Baumgardner on the top 10 pound per pound list if she's still, once again found guilty. Which more than likely she will be, because once again, it was not just one banned substance. it was a multitude of them. So let's see.
To be true. I would hate for it to be true, but even if it's true, I do not care. I'ma still rock with Alycia Baumgardner. I still think she's the baddest woman in boxing. And again, who knows? Maybe she was framed. I'm just saying, speculation.
Yeah, maybe she was framed. Canelo wasn't framed. Tyson Fury wasn't framed. Inoue wasn't being framed. When it came to those glove accusations. But Alycia Baumgardner gets tested positive for 2 illegal PEDs and she's being framed. Once again, this goes to show you what their true motivations are. I've been telling people this for years. Please stop coming in my comment section with some of these people and saying that, oh, you're just hating and, these guys, man, they're telling the truth that you just don't like it. Look at these damn fools.
But who knows? She could have been slipped something in her drink. Maybe she trusted somebody in her camp with something. I don't know. This is all speculation, but that's why we wait to hear both sides. Maybe she ate some wild boar testicles. Maybe she ate some Mexican meat. Maybe it was
that was a shot at both Canelo Alvarez and Mr. Tyson Fury. And I tend to agree with you, sir, that in my view, those were erroneous excuses. Because at the end, but it's pretty much just as much as Alycia Baumgardner. And once again, it'd be different if it was just maybe one possible banned substance. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, no, 2 banned substances. No, I'm sorry. It is what it is. These boxers, they don't take any particular risk like that. They make sure usually to have their camps clean. And if she does not have her camp clean, and if she's a little bit reckless, then that's her own fault.
herbal tea. I don't know. What's the random fucking excuses that some of y'all favorite male fighters have made that you seem to not care about? Everybody just finished watching Navarrete versus Oscar Valdez, right? Oh, so they don't remember that he said that he drank some herbal tea? They're praising.
Right, I agree. And I was one of the ones that also criticized Oscar Valdez. And Oscar Valdez tried to play the victim after that fight, after Robson Conceição, about, he had to deal with a lot of shit this week. Well, that's your fault. Because at the end of the day, you took an illegal substance. And it's the same thing with Alycia Baumgardner. Once again, these dudes are the biggest hypocrites within that of all the sporting media. Because they love to bitch, moan, and complain overall about when their fighters suffer through double standards, or we gotta criticize Fury or Canelo Alvarez because they got caught on a PED. But as soon as it happens to Alycia Baumgardner, all of a sudden, oh, why are you guys hating? Why is it a big deal? You guys are getting too much into business. Like, once again, that is the delusion of a fanboy. When they have the double standards, when they try to save face for their favorite fighter, because their favorite fighter, it feels like they're a part of a family to them, even though they don't really even know them. That's what a fanboy does. That's why CHAMPSIDE just told you that, I don't even care if it is true. Just like my brother or sister, you don't know her. I'm sure that you interviewed her at the end of the day when it comes down to it, or chatted with her, but you don't know her that personally. But that's the delusion and the craziness of a fan.
Canelo versus Charlo right now, didn't they? Oh, you forgot he ate Mexican meat clenbuterol? You got Tyson Fury number on the pound for pound list. He the best heavyweight. Wilder can't beat him, but he tested positive for nandrolone, which you forgot about that. So again, I don't care if Alycia Baum.
Well, Mr. CHAMPSIDE, you must have forgot about how you raked their name over the coals. This just goes to show my point once again that had this been a black fighter, that they would have not had the same energy with it.
Gardner test for any damn thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's my opinion on it. If that's biased, then guess what? The world is biased, and so is most of everyone with a platform. So
you hear that? You hear what CHAMPSIDE said? If that's biased, then most people are biased. Once again, this is why you cannot go along with these channels, man. This is exactly why you cannot go along with these channels. They are fanboys. That's exactly how a delusional, stupid-ass fanboy will talk. Well, guess what? I'm allowed to be biased because you're being biased. Once again, they don't keep the same standards. They're perfectly okay with raking certain fighters' names over the coals until overall, it comes to one of their favorite fighters.
Shout out to Alycia Baumgardner. She know I rock with her. Y'all know I rock with her. And ain't shit gonna change that. All right, so shout out to everybody in the chat. I know y'all.
Once again, I'm going to be very interested to see if Alycia Baumgardner gets removed from his pound-for-pound list. We'll see.
Probably going to, you know what I'm saying? It's not a good look. I'm not going to lie. It's not a good look. But,
No shit, it's not a good look. She got tested positive for 2 banned substances.
I guess today is shame Alycia Baumgardner today, and as I said earlier today, she will get no shame on my platform, only love. And if you got a problem with it, what are you gonna do? Unsubscribe from me. Cry in the comments a little bit harder. But when you cry, make sure you mention all the other people that have tested positive for PEDs. And we still haven't heard her story, and she hasn't went through the full due process. So let's give her, in America, we call it innocent until proven guilty. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt. And
Right. So when it came to other great champions like Tyson Fury or Inoue or some of these other guys, did you give them due process, Mr. Champside, and all these other LDBC and new media channels? The same thing also happened with that of Dante's Boxing Nation when Wilder was making an excuse. This was the same guy that raked Lomachenko over the coals and Manny Pacquiao when they made excuses, and to a degree they deserved it when it comes down to it because there was no excuses or no injuries prior. But then after the fight, all of a sudden they had these injuries. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with criticizing those fighters. But then when it came to one of their fighters against Deontay Wilder, they said, well, of course he made an excuse. But people are just so much more willing to, hate on him because he's a black fighter. Or Errol Spence, the hate on him is so much more because he's a black fighter. And don't get me wrong, that's not me saying that hate does not happen to certain black fighters or double standards do not happen to certain black fighters, because they do. But a big part of the reasons why so many people come to these channels like Champside and Dante's Boxing Nation is because they can see how full of shit they are.
Let's see what happens. But either way, I do not care. I rock with the Baumgardner, and ain't nothing gonna change that. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Let me know what y'all think. Follow the Instagram champ_side, Twitter and Facebook at the Champside. Visit the website Champside.
But anyways, that's pretty much about it for today. But Champside, as well as Dante's Boxing Nation, Boxing Eagle, a lot of these other guys, they've been telling you who they actually are. If you let a person speak long enough or have enough history, they will tell you eventually who they are. And just like, Dante and just like Aki and a lot of these other channels, they just told you what they were. They're fans. They're not objective. They're not logical commentators. They're pro-black fans. They are part of a pro-black cult, and they are pro-black fans. Period. Is what it is. But anyways, that's pretty much about it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you all later, and we'll see where this goes. Like I said, steroids to me, I've never really raked anyone's names over the coals too much for them because there's just been a lot of great fighters and a lot of great athletes that I've seen on them anyway. Whether it be Canelo Alvarez, I believe Manny Pacquiao is probably more than likely on something. Probably Juan Manuel Marquez. I think Roy Jones Jr. was more than likely on something, especially when he moved up to heavyweight. Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, I believe at one point in time was caught on them. Sugar Shane Mosley, and I'm sure there's a multitude of others that I'm not mentioning. But at the end of the day, those are the main ones that I can remember. Even Tyson Fury, who I have in my top 5 pound for pound. At one point in time, there was a slight suspicion about him possibly being on some sort of steroid. So like I said, it's not enough for me to not put a fighter on my top 10 pound for pound list because I think most of these fighters are on some sort of performance enhancer anyway. But at the end of the day, once again, if you're going to put the standards and rake someone's name over the coals and criticize somebody, I don't have a problem with that, but then you have to keep the same standards everywhere else. Don't just go much easier on her or much easier on the fighter because they're an American black fighter. Come on. It is what it is. But once again, I don't really expect logic and objectivity from Champside or any of these other channels. But the reason why I like to review them, once again, is to show their true colors. But it is what it is. Anyways, that's pretty much about it. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you all later.